We pray for better days.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the TD Show. I'm your host, Todd, and we have a special first-time guest that's going to be joining the TD Show, Don Crable. Welcome to the show, Don.
Hey, thanks a lot, Todd. Nice for you guys to have me here. Let me be a part of something awesome.
Okay, we're going to be a great addition to the show. I know Sean's excited. Unfortunately, Sean couldn't be here right now. He's under the weather, so it's going to be me and Don for this show, but we'll get through it. We're going to talk about the NFL, week one of the NFL, and talk about what we thought about each game. Talk about the Washington football team, the Skins, and then do our locks of the week for week two. So let's go into it, Don. Let's do it. Let's talk about Thursday night game. What did you think of that game? It was Chiefs 34-20 against the Texans.
So the Chiefs have been like, I've been waiting for those guys to just blow up and take the Super Bowl for the past, 9 years. They just keep getting better and better, and this year's not going to be any different. They've already proven themselves last year. So this year, I expect them to stay on track and probably be, one of the with them and a couple of the other teams, just be the teams to beat all year long. I expect with Mahomes and stuff, just constantly throwing the ball, high scores, football that we love to watch.
It seems like that offense didn't miss a beat. 34 points the first game. It seems like they didn't, they even didn't have an off season. It's amazing what that offense does. Yeah, and the Texans are a good offensive team, and to hold them to 20, I don't think Watson played what he's capable of, but it's just hard to keep up with the Chiefs. They scored 17 points in the second quarter. It's definitely to keep up pace with that offense is tough. It's gonna be interesting to see how they do. I don't really see anybody contending with them in their division, just offensively.
That's exactly what I mean. And I think there's two other factors there too. This is without any preseason, week one is just up in the air. You never really have any idea what's going to happen. And then two, you see often in NFL players that get these huge contracts, they kind of dip off a little bit. They made their money, and then they kind of start sliding. And I don't see that happening with Mahomes. That guy's amazing.
He's right now. He's the best quarterback in the NFL by far. It's not even close. Just his level he's at right now. It's scary how good he can be too. Because it's amazing. We'll see what happens though. If they don't get injured and stay healthy, that's a team to beat, in my opinion. All right, let's move on to the Seahawks.
Absolutely true.
Let's move on to the Seahawks-Falcons game. That was 38-25 Seahawks. What are your thoughts on that game, Don?
I think Russell Wilson finally became a quarterback that I want to root for.
What do you mean?
I've had him on my fantasy league, but he's always been good, but he's never been great. And then all of a sudden, with the offense running like it is, it looks like they're giving Russell more decision making and everything else. He's just, I guess, this is the maturity kicking into a talented quarterback.
4 TD passes. That's a good showing. I get what you're saying too, because usually the Seahawks don't open up their offense until they're behind or later on in the season when they need to. It's good to see them come out. I was actually shocked how they just dominated the Falcons, and I thought the Falcons would give a better game, especially that the Seahawks were going from the West Coast to the East Coast. Sometimes the time change and can really affect the team, but not the Seahawks, that's for sure.
Yeah, and with the time change, we're probably going to be able to say this for every team here, but with the new COVID restrictions and everything else that has to go on, that has to take an emotional and just fatigue role in any team, just adding more processes to travel.
Oh, definitely agree. I was kind of shocked at that score. 38-25, but it was never close. The Falcons came back at the end, but really it was never close.
Right.
So. All right, moving on to the Jets-Bills. 27-17 Bills. No shocker there.
Yeah. I don't even know what to say. Both those teams, I'm not even sure. I hate spending the time talking about them sometimes.
The AFC East has got to be the most boringest division ever. I know the Patriots have been good, but well, the Jets, Bills, and Dolphins. It's like, I mean, the Bills are good now, but they've been bad for so long. They've only been good the last 2 or 3 years. Really playing consistent. So,
and even that's kind of debatable because they might be consistent, but like they still kind of fizzle out.
I mean,
and then like Jets every single game. Like the next day when you're talking about the Jets games, you're usually laughing about something that happened. Like
I get that.
They look great. Big Jets.
Yeah, I do think they have a chance to win the division finally. I don't think I think the last time another team besides the Patriots won that division was the Dolphins in like 2010. That's how bad it is.
Yep. And like because of that reason, with the Patriots making the changes, do you think that opens up, Miami, Jets, and Buffalo? Do you think that opens them up to kind of a free for all? Like we don't know what's going to happen by the end of the season because the Patriots don't have their locked in players like usual. They're not just. It's just not a given. So now it's just kind of. I can't even make a prediction.
But like before the season started, I had the Bills win the division. But after, not to skip ahead, but after seeing Cam Newton, it's going to be a dogfight. I mean, if he stays healthy, which is always a question for running quarterbacks and quarterbacks that can run, is if they can stay healthy. And he's kind of guy that he's getting older and has been injured the last couple of years. So, but if Cam Newton can stay healthy, it's definitely going to be a good coming down the stretch. So we'll see.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to the Bears Lions. I thought this game 27-23 was a shocker. I actually didn't get to see it live, or I just saw the replays, and the Lions were up 23-6 going to the fourth quarter. I mean, it's just like, how do you lose up 23-6 going to the fourth quarter? I mean, talk about a total. Especially Mitch Trubisky brings them back. We're not talking about like Aaron Rodgers or Pat Mahomes. We're talking about Mitch Trubisky.
Yeah, I mean, so do you have any friends that are Detroit fans?
Stackpole isn't he?
Oh, that's right, he is. Yep. So I guess he likes the Ravens now. Anyway, so I have like one or two. He was, yep. But it must be really hard to be it's hard to be a fan of a team that's not, doesn't have a history of being great the past 10 years. But Detroit just always seems like they're always losing at the very end. Like they always seem like they're like 3 points behind and just don't make it. They're always like 6 points. Like they're always so close because they definitely, if you look at some of their stats, man, they always throw the ball. They always have good play. Just the other team has 3 more.
It's crazy.
One touchdown. And like there has to be something about the coaching at that point because clearly people are playing. They've had some greats on their team. And
I like Matthew Stafford as a quarterback, but the bottom line is that team just folds in the fourth quarter, even when they have leads. I mean, Mitch Trubisky had 3 touchdown passes in the fourth quarter. I mean, come on, defense. You think they'd be able to stop him, but and Patricia is a defensive coordinator coming from the Patriots. You think he'd have a good defense after this many years?
Some idea.
He's on his 4th year, if I'm correct. So,
yeah. I don't know, man. Colorado's get them out there like running laps. Their stamina needs to be up. They need to last longer than
right. All right, let's move on to the Packers Vikings. Packers won 43-34. This was actually I thought it'd be closer. Aaron Rodgers just did what Aaron Rodgers does.
Yeah.
He actually.
Going back to what I said before, you never know what's going to happen in the first week.
Yeah.
But Aaron Rodgers apparently did.
I mean,
he was like, I'm going to whip these guys.
It's funny that they first round they draft a quarterback. And everyone's criticizing them for drafting a quarterback, and I still don't think it was a good pick. But I mean, they're obviously didn't miss a beat though with I know the Vikings defense isn't what it was last year. They lost a couple of players, but I mean they scored 19 in the second quarter and then 14 in the fourth quarter. The Vikings made a valiant comeback. They scored 24 points in the fourth quarter, but if you think it was basically the 24 points was fourth quarter slot game that everyone knew they wouldn't come back by then.
Right. Just
Exactly. That's
stats
Kirk Cousins for patent stats. So,
Yep. I often wonder because Vikings are a good team, and they've definitely had a run at the championship the last couple of years. But I also I just really feel Kirk Cousins is the most average dude ever.
I think he definitely can't.
Smart
he's
guy.
definitely a guy that needs help. Like he can't. He's not Aaron Rodgers where he can take a team on his shoulders and make other players better. I think Kirk Cousins is a guy that you can win with him, but you have to have a good defense that can keep scores under control, and you have to have a running game and stuff around him where he can, do Kirk Cousins what Kirk Cousins does. I mean, he's not I wouldn't even say he's top 10 quarterback. He's probably top 15 in my opinion. So
yeah, sure. You mean out of 32 teams? Average,
pretty much, exactly. All right, we talked a little bit about the Patriots and the Dolphins. So Patriots won 21-11. It was really never close. Dolphins got a late score, but this is the Dolphins. Dolphins are, I guess, they're playing for the first pick of the draft. Let's be honest. The funny thing is they're going to have Tua. You almost think they need to play Tua just so they know what they have with him because Trevor Lawrence is going to be the number one pick, whoever picks him at next year's draft. I mean, that's just a given from the kid from Clemson.
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, how do you make that decision in week one? You have to play out some of your games to see what's going on.
I get you. I just know that before the season's over, they got to let him play eventually. I agree with you. Like the first 2 or 3 weeks, I wouldn't play him, but that week, I wonder when their bye is because I'd have to do it either after the bye, where he's had enough time under his belt. I want to make sure he's healthy too. I'm just coming off an injury, so it's tough. But
sure.
You talk about average guys. What's the quarterback there? He has a big beard. What's his name? He's been all over the place. He's been to 10 different teams. He's an average quarterback. He's not a bad backup, but he's not the guy. He's not the guy that's going to, be there for the long run. He's not going to win you championships. What is his name? I can't remember his name, but damn, that's going to bother me. Either way, we know who we're talking about.
Right.
What did you say? Fitzpatrick. That's right. Yeah. Good call. Yeah, he's average at best. He's average. I mean, like I said, he's good backup, I guess. Any comments about those? I know you don't like this division; it's boring, which I agree with.
No, I mean just the fact that I was really excited to see what Cam Newton was going to do under the Patriots. There's been I do have my favorite team and I have my favorite players, but just that style of quarterbacking has been I've really liked for a long time, and I hate when they would get when quarterbacks that like to be physical would get hurt, or quarterbacks that are really, really athletic would get hurt because it kind of sets that style of quarterbacking back a little bit, a year or two. But now given Cam Newton on what traditionally is such a phenomenal team, hopefully gives him the opportunity, and we start seeing the NFL start using quarterbacks in a just a more exciting for me to watch, physical way, and get some of these guys out there that don't drop immediately, that keep the play alive a little bit longer.
Can scramble, keep plays alive, and make That's the one thing about that's so unique about Russell Wilson. He's a running quarterback and he stays healthy. He's really good at protecting himself throughout the game and avoiding the pressure and getting hit, taking big hits. So, all right, let's move on to the Raiders and the Panthers, 34-30. This was a close game at the end. The Raiders pounced on them quick. I tell you what, that Jacobs 3 touchdown rushes for the Raiders, and Derek Carr looked pretty good. I was impressed with their offense. I don't know if they're going to do anything since they probably have a chance to make the playoffs since the playoffs have expanded as far as teams, but they're not winning their division with the Chiefs, but they might make some noise in the run. Let's just say this. They might be playing meaningful games in December because of the expanded playoffs. If they continue.
I don't doubt that. But in their division, they have Denver also. And I expect Denver to be reasonably decent this year
Sure.
too. Like just that's it's not the division that I watch all the time on Sunday, but that's a pretty good division this year to watch these guys kind of play it out. Kansas City being exciting, and then the Raiders actually having a chance to go to a playoff is ridiculous.
What do you think about the Panthers? What are their chances?
I don't know, man.
It's a tough division.
Without Cam Newton there, who was kind of like just the guy that I used to watch him for solely. I don't know what they're going to do anymore because I haven't seen what they're. I didn't get to watch the game either, so I haven't seen how the coaching style changed to fit someone else in there.
Yeah.
When you're such an important player, you have to change almost everything.
Well, they have a new head coach. They got a new quarterback. Bridgewater. I think Bridgewater can be a good quarterback. He doesn't have the experience that you would like, but I mean, I think give him time. And I do like the coach Rule. He's from Tulane. He actually he's got a spread offense. Their offense looks like it could be doing something. I know they're another team that probably hurt from not having preseason and the whole off season from COVID.
Right.
They probably would have been better beneficial of having that whole off season. But I mean, we'll see. I mean, it's tough though when you have the Saints and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That's a tough division. So
sure is.
Anyhow, let's move on to the Colts and the Jaguars. Jaguars won 27-20. Old Jay Gruden offense and Minshew. What's your thoughts on this game?
Like, I just love rooting for that guy Minshew, just because of like the
stash,
the memes the next day.
The porn stash.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, he plays up on it too. It's pretty funny. So.
Oh, it's amazing. And then traditionally again, like I didn't think Jaguars were any good. They only had one good season in the past 5 years. I think that were really contentious. But I don't know. Like this is such an odd year, and that stash is amazing.
Gotta love the stash.
I'm happy to root. Yeah, and so I'm just happy they started off well.
I mean, it was actually a big surprise. I mean, I thought Philip Rivers coming to the Colts. The Colts were a decent team last year, and I thought Rivers would make him better. But that's another guy that just hasn't lived up to what you think he could be. Rivers has always been like the guy that, like Matthew Stafford. He's puts up good numbers, seems to be a solid quarterback, but just doesn't win when you need to win. So, I mean, in the fourth quarter, they had 3 points. I mean, you think you're. I mean, he's been in the league for at least. I mean, he's probably in his late 30s, so that's how long he's been in the league. So,
and with this will be third or 14? 14?
No, this is the second team. He was with the Chargers his whole career, but still, I mean,
the whole really? I thought he came anyway. So, but just his experience should have came through, especially playing with just his experience should have been able to let him handle the pressure in the fourth quarter to lead an offense.
Well,
to score more
the
points.
second half they only had 3 points. So it's like you think they could do better in the second half. I mean, I guess tip your hat off to the Jaguars on defense and the Jaguars. I don't know the whole stat line. Maybe they controlled the ball where the Colts offense didn't get the ball as much, but still 3 points in the second half. That's right. Just, ugh. All right, let's move on to the Baltimore Ravens and the Browns. This was never a contest. I mean, I was flipping back and forth from this to the Skins game, and man, 38-6. Come on, Browns. I thought the Ravens would win, but I thought the Browns would put up a fight. They never put up a fight, but they are winning now. Just to let you guys know, the Browns are winning. At least right now, 14-10. Last I checked.
Oh, nice. The guy can never understand. So the Browns. So I actually didn't pick them for tonight. I actually picked the Bengals to win. Because I just think it's a good bet to always think they're going to lose until they prove me otherwise.
Is that one of your locks that we're going to do later on? You want to?
I think it was. Yeah. Nah. Well. It definitely could have been. Well, it's unfair to say
it's
now.
It's not a bad bet though, because the Browns are getting 6, and they're I think it was 10-14. So you're still winning that bet. So you're up 2.5. I think it is. It's 6. So 2. You're up 2 still, if that's the score. But I don't mind that bet. I know I saw the rookie threw a touchdown pass. Burrow threw a touchdown pass. So
Yeah.
that's two games in a row we had a touchdown pass. So
It's true. And but it would be. I mean, if there was anyone he was going to get his first win to, the Bengals could be it.
yeah, definitely. Well, you mean the Broncos or the Browns? The Browns.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry.
But what do you think of the Ravens? Do you think they're getting a chance to knock off the Chiefs, or they looked good?
I really. So the Ravens are always known for their defense. I don't think their defense is where it used to be, even though they constantly say it is. I just don't think it is. And Mahomes is so good. I've seen that guy trash good defenses, last year. And this year he's just going to be slightly better. You know what I mean? So later in the season, I could absolutely see the Chiefs beating the Ravens. But there also there's a part of that too. I'm slightly biased because whenever I'm watching in this area, we're in the DC area, whenever I'm watching a Redskins game, Ravens are always playing usually at the same exact time. And I just see their score tick up over and over. Every commercial break when they throw their line across, so Ravens just scored again. I'm like,
their offense. I tell you what, you can't get behind with that offense. You gotta keep it close. Yeah. I think the Titans have the playbook to beat the Ravens, but it's a hard playbook to do. You got to run the ball, play good defense, and don't let them get ahead of you because if they get ahead of you, you're in trouble. So.
Absolutely, it's hard to play catch up with that.
It'll be interesting to see the division, see them in the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think that'll be the deciding factor. Who wins the division? I don't think obviously Browns. I thought Browns. The thing about the Browns, they have the talent. They just don't put. They never put it together. But we'll see. I mean, if Browns get back on track, win tonight, maybe they can turn around. I wouldn't bet on it though. That's just my opinion. All right, let's move on to the Chargers and the Bengals. This is actually closer than I thought it was going to be. I mean, I know the Chargers aren't good. They got a young quarterback, and the Bengals have a young quarterback. This is actually a typical score, 16-13. Chargers actually had 10 unanswered points in the fourth quarter. But Burrow, I mean, he looked good for his first, in my opinion, he looked good for his first time out in the NFL. What's your thoughts?
Yeah. I think the Chargers, some of the people that I know on the West Coast that really like the Chargers, they always call them the buzzsaws because they'll just rip up teams out of nowhere, or whatever you expect was going to happen. They just rip that idea up, and it was a funny comment that I heard from. But I've seen it happen in playoffs, new players when someone's hurt. Like just sometimes I'll just see the Chargers win for no apparent reason than just to mess up someone else's stats or mess up someone else's chances for playoffs. So, having a brand new quarterback in there, it just sounds like some of the Chargers were due to be the buzzsaws and just, wreck that guy's first start, not let him have a win. Just kind of what happens with those guys. I know that's a lot of hocus pocus to be thinking about in, football, but it keeps happening.
Exactly. I get you. Yeah. I think both these teams aren't making the playoffs. I think they're going to be both picking top five if the Bengals aren't the top 2 or 3. So we'll see. Right. All right, moving on to the Buccaneers and the Saints. The Saints are won 34-23. What are your thoughts on this game? This was the marquee matchup this weekend. Everyone was talking about it. It was piped up.
Yeah, I mean these two quarterbacks have been experienced. They've both won championships. They're both fantastic quarterbacks, but they're both starting to get older. And every time I watch Drew Brees, I see him. He's actually changed the way he plays in the past couple of years. You don't see 5 touchdowns and 3 interceptions every single game like you used to. Be a little bit smarter, a little bit more reserved. But then you have Tom Brady, who came from an extremely controlled and effective offense all the time. So, I wanted to see what happens when these two at this level, one on a different team, one guy getting older. What happens? It's like Breeze he did what he does always. I guess he had more consistency and just, passed. Actually, and split up the field, I think, a lot more too. He's been really good about that too. Always covering everywhere and keeping. He definitely
spread the ball around. That's definitely true. It's one thing about Tom Brady and Drew Brees. They both spread the ball around. Obviously got tons of experience. They won championships, Super Bowls. I thought this would be closer, But Tom Brady didn't play well. Let's be honest.
No.
He looked like he was confused through 2 picks. It's another thing where it's hard. You come to another team, learn a new offense. It doesn't gel overnight sometimes. So
now his first drive was good.
Yeah, they looked like they didn't miss a beat. I was like, wow, they're going to score a lot of points, and then they didn't do anything after that. At least, I mean, they scored 10 points in the third, but that touchdown drive in the third, it didn't seem like their offense was clicking. I mean, they scored, but didn't look like that first drive. The first drive, it looked so easy.
Yeah, exactly.
But I definitely see. I think it's still the division's still with those 2 teams. It's probably gonna be the Saints if I had to pick, just because what happened last weekend. But I mean, don't count Tampa Bay with all the talent they have. Yeah.
No, exactly.
All right, so this was the shocker of the week for me. Cardinals 24, 49ers 20. This is something we'll talk about more for week 2 because the Skins play the Cardinals. But man, Kyler Murray is a freaking beast, scary beast.
Yeah. But, I'm positive people thought the 49ers were going to, take the division this year.
Absolutely.
And then they lose to the Cardinals, which, again, I didn't really expect this game to be as great to watch or a good showing, and I didn't expect the Cardinals to win. And the 49ers kind of, I don't know if the 49ers lost it or the Cardinals just came out were that much better.
Yeah, I know the 49ers were up to start the game. I think it was 10-0. Mm-hmm. I think they're up 10-0, and then the Cardinals scored a little bit towards the end of the first quarter.
Did you see the game? Were there a lot of?
I saw highlights and I saw a couple minutes of the game. I didn't see the whole game, but it just looked like the highlights I saw was that first of all, Bill O'Brien should be fired for making that trade. That's the dumbest trade ever. Hopkins is a beast. That receiving corps is good. They still got Larry Fitzgerald. They got a lot of weapons. And Kyler Murray, you have to contain him. That's the key. You can't let him run around and make plays. And it seems like he's got a strong arm. He can throw from any angle. He's got crazy talent. But I still expect the 49ers to fight for this division. They're too good of a team. Got too much talent. I think the division. I mean, the division is going to be tough because the Rams won, the Seahawks won, the Cardinals won. The team that was expected to win the division lost. So I still think this is going to be the most contested division in football. You got four quality teams, in my opinion. Good.
Now it used to. Before that game, I would have said it was 3. But you're absolutely right. There's 4 now.
And if Kyler Murray can stay healthy, I mean, who knows? They might win the division, or at least push for another. They might get 3 teams in the playoffs this division. We'll see, especially with expanded playoffs. All right, moving on. This was a little bit surprise to me too. It's the same division. The Rams beat the Cowboys 20-17. Don't get me wrong. I'm happy. Anytime the Cowboys lose, I'm always happy. So.
Right. Same. But I don't even know. So again, that was one of those times that, I'm pretty sure Zeke put up. Did he put up 2 touchdowns and some yards? So I mean, he carried his weight. Where was Prescott at? What happened to the rest of the team at that point?
I know Vanner and Bosch got hurt. I know their defense didn't play. I mean, they gave up 20 points. I mean, it was 0 points in the fourth quarter. So both offenses really, average performances in my opinion. The Cowboys in the fourth quarter had 14 points, and they only had 3 after that. So it seems like their offense in the second half wasn't there. I mean, that's the story of the game. Yeah. The Rams scored 7 points in the second half, and the Cowboys scored 3. Give hats off to Aaron Donald and that defense for shutting down the Cowboys in the second half. But man, the Cowboys do this every year. I still think they're the best team as far as on paper. But man, this is what they do. You expect them to have. They got all this weapons, and then they score 17 points. It's like what happened?
Well, the other side of that too, the Rams defense is a joke. You know, they're a really good defense. And then, take away your preseason, NFL, it's one of the sports that I see people adapt so quickly. And usually it takes 1 or 2 games. But I really have a funny feeling that this year we're going to see people adapt, within quarters. And, so many times that we've just talked about how many people did score in the fourth quarter. I really think that's that's what happens when you don't have a preseason. People are just adapting at halftime and then adapting again in the third quarter, then at the end of the third quarter. That's why we have a couple of these games that had no points or only 3 points in the fourth. People were learning, defenses were adapting.
Right.
So quickly.
And I know beginning of the season, offense are behind on defense, even when they have extra off season to practice and all that stuff. Usually defense is ahead, but still, you think with all that weapons, they'd score more than 3 points in the second half. Anyhow, moving on to the Steelers Giants. This game was actually a better game than I thought. I thought it'd be a blowout. This 26-16. I thought the Giants actually played better than I thought. I have to give my hats off to them because they looked better than I expected them to play. Obviously, the Steelers came back and looked better towards the middle of the game, but it was. I mean, I got to say, the Giants, if they play like that, they'll win more than I thought they would.
I don't know, man. I never know where the Giants are going to go. It's always at the end of the season when they pop up in the playoffs or they pop up playing for. And in the beginning of the season, they always start off so slow. So again, I just don't know if this game had any. There's no foreshadowing for the rest of the season if they're going to be good or not. I can't tell from this one game because they seemed to play okay. There were definitely some holes. I can't remember. Did they have a lot of interceptions?
Yes. So their quarterback, I want to say they were down and they were driving, and he threw a dumb pick in the end zone to the Steelers.
Yep.
And it was like, I mean, I think he's going to be a good quarterback. Daniel Jones. I think Daniel Jones is going to be a good quarterback, but he just makes dumb mistakes at times where you're like, I mean, he had a nice touchdown pass, but the bottom line is you can't turn the ball over, especially when you're that close to getting points. And it makes you shake your head like, why did you throw that ball? I mean, it wasn't even close. It wasn't like it threw it to tight coverage. The defender made a great play. It was like he was getting hit and threw it. It's like, take the sack, throw it away, do anything but what you just did. But like I said, the Giants looked better than I thought they'd look against the Steelers. And the Steelers, there was never a time where I thought that I think the Giants were up 10-3. But even then, I was like, this is just a matter of time until Ben gets his feet underneath him. And that's what happened. Ben started playing better, and they played better.
Yeah, I've definitely seen Ben especially, but the Steelers in general play up to their opponents since Ben Roethlisberger's been there. Like somehow those guys will just come out. You score first, they're going to score twice. It's always a fun game to watch. Luckily, they're not in my division. But even when the Ravens are amazing, they beat the hell out of them constantly. Somehow they play.
Well, here's the thing: the Steelers' defense looked good. I mean, I know the Giants' offense. It's young and not experienced, but still, I mean, they look fast. Bud, what's the guy's name? Bud Foster? Not Bud Foster. Bud Dupree. Bud Dupree. I mean, he's just a really good pass rusher. They got Watt, the younger brother. It's a DJ or I can't remember the guy's name. Watt. He's a good pass rusher. They got talent on defense. Bush. I mean, Sean. They would name them all. He's a big Steeler fan, but yeah. The Steelers, I think they're going to be in the mix as far as that division with the Ravens. I do think the Ravens are a little bit better. If I had to bet, I would bet on the Ravens. But I mean, you're talking. They're neck and neck. So, all right, let's skip over to the Monday night game, Titans and Broncos. This was actually a really good game. It's an impressive win by the Titans coming to Denver and win in that fashion they did. What do you think?
So, like I said before, I expected Denver to be a lot tougher team this year, and I still think they are. I still think Denver is trying to give everyone a whole bunch of just trouble constantly. But I didn't expect the Titans to take this game. Monday night games are always close, just kind of. I mean, in general. They always play well. It's a primetime game. Everyone really wants the exposure, and everyone's really trying. I think just a little bit harder. So it's always a good game no matter what. But I didn't expect the Titans to be, to win.
Yeah, I think the Titans are if their quarterback can play at a level that doesn't hurt the team, and he's playing better. Their kicker missed 3 field goals. Did you see the highlights of this game?
Oh no! So didn't he? I'm sorry. Is that the game where he missed it at the very end? Did he shank it?
No, that was someone else. He won at the end. So he missed like 3 field goals, and at the end he won it. He won it. It was like a chip shot. It was closer than an extra point.
Gotcha.
But this game could have been 9 extra. They should have had 9 extra points. He missed 3 field goals, and it wasn't even like the Titans really dominated this game. They couldn't put the ball in the end zone, but they should have had 9 extra points if you count the field goals they missed.
Does he still play for that team?
He does.
That team?
I mean, he's actually a good kicker, Gronkowski. He's actually he's actually a good kicker, right. But he redeemed himself at the end. At least he won the game, which I guess you can't fire the guy who wins the game for you. But damn, you have that kind of game again, you get fired. He's lucky.
Yeah, I just looked up his stats I just looked up the game stats just now. Yeah, like that's obscene. And Gronkowski is usually one of the top 5 kickers you pick up every year in fantasy.
I mean, he's a solid kicker. I don't know what happened, but I know in Denver the wind there, or the altitude's kind of weird, but still, I mean, I don't know. I don't understand how you missed three kicks, and it's not like they're far. I mean, I want to say 2 of them were under 40. There might have been 1 over 40, but I don't think it was much over 40. So, all right, let's moving on to the game that me and you are interested in, and was a shocker. The Washington football team beats the Philadelphia Eagles 27-17. Don, tell me what you think, buddy.
There's so many things about this game that I love. This happened last year, just in reverse. So screw you, Philly.
Exactly. Take that, Philly fan.
Yeah, man, we got a lot of crap for that too. Losing, falling behind that. I remember watching this game. There was a time. Sometimes when you see the points starting to get out of hand, you just kind of stop watching the game a little bit because you kind of see it getting away from them. I think I turned to my fiance at the time, and she was like, "They just scored," and I was like, "Did they? That sucks." She was like, "No, the Redskins." I was like, "What?" And then obviously I jumped back in, and then here we go. We just start, going around. But again, it was yet again one of those second half. Everyone made changes, and I think Philly only had 3 points, right?
In the second half, no, they had. They had 0 points.
1 touchdown.
They went to halftime. Halftime up 17-7.
0.
Yeah,
17-7. Okay, that's what it was.
And I remember before Fade Moreau got that pick, I was like, "Damn, this team looks exactly like last year. They can't score, can't stop anybody.
Yep.
They give up big plays on third down." I was like, "Man, how are we not any better?" I didn't think we'd win, but when it was 17-0, I was like, God damn, how are we this bad? We should be a little bit better with Chase Young and just for one, Ron Rivera. But I tell you, the play of the game, in my opinion, is Moreau's pick to go into halftime with momentum down 17-7.
Yep.
That doesn't happen. The offense, I don't know how much you watched the offense, but the offense in the first half could not. They looked terrible. I was like, they could not move the ball. There was a lot of 3 and outs, a lot of Haskins not throwing well. I actually thought Haskins played bad to begin with, but he actually showed some poise and came back and led the team. I was really impressed with how he handled himself after starting so bad, which is a good sign.
Did you? I don't know if you saw the stats on that game too. Like our total offense. Yards after catch and stuff like that were abysmal. So immediately I thought, oh, that sounds terrible. We won by luck. But then I actually checked when I was looking up today. Most of the people that had the lowest yardage and stuff won their games yesterday. Last week. So it was amazing that it happened that way. And then I looked at why we did that, and it turned out we were throwing the ball to everyone. Like everyone had less than 100 yards. but people everywhere got the ball, and it's just spreading out. Spreading out a defense, and I don't think Philly has the best defense in the world. Just wearing them thin on every option that we have. And if you look at our players, we do have some talent all over our team. We just never use all of them at once. And I have a hard. If every team could do that all the time, use all their players to the best of their abilities, every team would be unstoppable. But often one guy gets shut down, so other guys have to take a lot more of a role. I don't think they shut down anyone exactly. I think we just spread them out too thin everywhere.
Well, I know Carson Wentz after the game, he must have been, because first of all, he got sacked 8 times, but I'm telling you, he got hit like 15, 16 times. He was beat up. Yep. I mean, and I tell you, give hats off to that defensive line and Jack Del Rio and just the whole defense, because early on they gave up some plays where you're like, damn, they gave up long third downs, and they could have been like, oh, here we go again. But I mean, that defensive line, Brian Kerrigan, Sweat, Chase Young. Yep. Our defensive line is deep too. We have guys off the bench with the rotation they have. It's going to be hard. I tell you what, it's going to be interesting to see how they do this weekend, because I don't want to get too excited, because we could be talking next podcast about how Kyler Murray made our defense look silly. So you don't have to. So I don't want to get too crazy about it.
Now, Kerrigan did just surpass Dexter Manley for the most sacks of that game.
Good point.
So he's pretty excited about that too, and that's just one of those motivations. This is the beginning of this. He is all season long now, just to be phenomenal and right off that high. Our defense is definitely the solid part of this. If we didn't keep some of these high-scoring teams really low and then let our offense just chip away at it constantly, I see a lot more games being won.
I think what helped Brian Kerrigan too, he only played 20 snaps, but he made like every other snap he made a play. He had 2 sacks, had a fumble recovery. I mean, his stat line is just really impressive for only playing 20 snaps. Yep. And you could feel Chase Young's presence. Just the way there's times he got double teamed, he beat the double team. There's times where, he would miss the tackle but get back up and make a play. He almost caused another fumble with Carson Wentz, but their offensive lineman got on top of it. So, I'm excited to see what they can become, but at the same time, I'm like, they're not going to be that. They're not going to be eight sacks every game. They'll probably be more like 3 or 4. But still, they have a chance to. If their defense can play like that every week, where they keep the other team only scoring 17 points, offensively, and give the offense short fields, I think we'll have a chance to be in every game and maybe be playing for something in December. Let's hope.
Yeah, me too. Well, I still don't think Giants are going to be. They're always like a coin toss near the end if they're even in the contention. Dallas has the talent for it, but they often implode right around week 10. So, and then there's us, So I definitely think we can. We just beat Philly, so even if they win the next one, we're still, tied in the division with them. So I also believe that we can definitely be playing for the playoffs.
Okay. Yeah, I do too. It helps that they added an extra team. That'll help the Skins get in if they're good enough. Yep. But looking at the other teams, there's no reason we can't at least compete for the division. Maybe we go. I was thinking we'd go 6 wins, 7 wins. Now I'm thinking 8. Now I'm thinking 8 or 9. What are you thinking?
I have a hard time with this question every single year because I say 16. It could be the 5th weekend with 4 losses behind us, and I'm like, we're going to the Super Bowl. Like I'm just that. I'm the glass is completely spilling. Not half full. It's water's overflowing at all given times in my cup. So I can't really say, but I would if I could really take myself out of that question and think about it, it'd be an 8. I would say 8 wins.
The way you do it
now
is if you had a bet on it, what would you bet? Like if you had to bet $100 on for them to, how many wins did you give them? $100.
10. I'd throw. I don't know. Again, I'd throw away $100 just to have that faith. But you're right. That's a good way to do it. I just have to think of something that.
Okay, your house payment.
Yeah, it's all right. Then I'm like, oh,
If someone said, we'll give you a house, we'll pay a mortgage payment 1 month, or let's say for a year, if you can correctly predict the Redskins wins loss total, what is it?
So they definitely have one of the harder
They do.
schedules this year too. All right, I'll say 8.
So that's what I've got them at. I got them 8-8, and if things fall their way, 9-7, and maybe win the division. If not win the division, maybe in the playoffs,
Okay.
a wild card. But let's move on to week 2, our locks of the weeks. Like Sean said last week, we're gonna do locks of the weeks every week for the following week. So what is your 1 o'clock locks, Don?
So I think Minnesota's going to be able to take to Indianapolis. I know Indy's actually favored in that game, but I still think the Vikings are better than Indianapolis. Now, given their 3 points or whatever the spread, I don't think that's a problem whatsoever. Green Detroit, obviously, I think Green Bay's going to stop them.
So Green Bay's giving up 6 to Lions. I agree with you. That spread seems small, especially the way the Lions played against the Bears. And I think the Packers are better than the Bears.
By far.
So my lock is the Redskins. My 1 o'clock is the Redskins. That's 4 o'clock. My bad. My 1 o'clock's the Bills. I have the Bills with the over. I'm taking the over under is 41.5. I'm taking under. It's a division game. First of all, the Dolphins can't score. Let's be honest. And if this goes over 41.5, it's because the Bills just destroyed the Dolphins, which I don't think they'll destroy them. It's a division game. So I'm going to go with the under with that game. And then I have the 49ers giving 7 to the Jets. I think the 49ers are pissed off. The Jets, they're going to take it out on the Jets. And then they're not. Yeah. There's no way they're going to go 0-2 to start the season. And the Jets just are the Jets. Let's be honest, they're not a good team.
No, I'm with you. And then going back to what we were just talking about, last week too, with Detroit coming really close. Every single game, 6 points isn't close enough for this game. It's 7. But with your Buffalo, Miami, I don't think going for the under. I think you could drop that 10 points and still be almost make it. Yeah. You know what I mean? I think 31 points is probably more reasonable. 41.5 is
that's a lot. I mean,
someone's being pretty free thinking.
I honestly don't think the Dolphins can score 20 points against the Bills. So with that thinking, that makes me think. Well, that means the Bills would have to score 40 points, or at least 30 points to keep it to go over. Yeah. So I think that's a lock in my opinion. And so is the 49ers. The 49ers are not going to lose to the Jets, and they're probably going to blow them out. No. And 7 points is not enough. I would have probably taken it if it was 8.5. I think they're going by double digits. What's your 4 o'clock game? Okay.
Kansas City and Los Angeles, and the Rams or the Chargers. I mean, just because Kansas City, they could throw anything. And I think what's the over under that game? 47. I think Kansas City scored 47. Now I don't think we've seen a game yet where someone just really went bananas. What was the highest point scored last week? 30.
Are you talking about totals?
No, just one team scoring.
Seahawks scored 38. I think the Seahawks were the top.
38. All right.
Yeah.
So I can see Kansas City scoring 30, 38 in their sleep against some teams, especially if it's going to be close, and then scoring even more. So
what's that spread?
With the
trying to find it.
It's 8 point. Kansas City's given up 8.5, and the over under is 47.5.
Okay. Who are they playing again?
So, the Chargers.
Okay. Yeah, for that, that's the only thing. It's how much do the Chargers score? I'm sure they'll score some. So the over's probably the good pick. Yeah, it's not a bad pick. Anything else for 4 o'clock?
Now I'm not. I'm still kind of wondering what's going to happen with the Washington football team in Cardinals. So I don't have them, even though, like I say, I'm super positive all the time about them. I'm still waiting for the other shoe to drop.
So I have them. I have them getting 6.5. I don't know if they'll win this game, but I don't think the Cardinals beat us by more than 6.5. I think it'll probably be a 4 or 3 point loss if we lose. If we win, it's because our defense sets up offense with good scoring positions, short fields, stuff.
Yep.
Like kind of like last week. That's how we're gonna have to win early on until offense gets their feet going and Haskins gets more comfortable and the young guys in the offense. I am worried about the left side of the offensive line, but we'll see. All right, so do you have anybody for the Sunday night game?
The Saints. I think they're going to hand it. Again, the Raiders are a good team, but this is so early. Like some of the spreads are, I don't think, accurate yet. So the Saints are only giving up 5.5 points.
Okay, that's Monday night, right? Okay, so they got the Saints Monday night? Okay.
Yes. Oh, I'm sorry. I jumped ahead one day. I apologize. So the Sunday night game's New England, Seattle.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I have
that game. I think Seattle.
I actually have the over because, first of all, Seattle, and I went back and forth. I was like from over under, but 4.5 points. Seattle scored 38 against the Falcons. I do think the Patriots are a better team, but I think both teams will score. It's tough though because you can have a defensive game too. I think with Cam Newton and Russell Wilson, I gotta believe that both teams will score, 24 to 25 points. I gotta believe that's going to happen. So I'm taking the over on that game.
I'm with you. I love games like this too for my fantasy points and my fantasy teams because these games are the ones where my players end up making so many points than they should have or they're projected to because these guys are going to shoot it out.
I agree.
They're going to ride on defenses and just keep going after each other. It's one of those games you could possibly see a score almost every other drive or every drive in the third or fourth quarter.
I agree. It's definitely a good point. Don, I want to thank you for your first episode and hopefully many more.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Well, this about does it today on the TD Show. I want to thank everyone for taking the time and listening. Also, if you could head over to YouTube and subscribe to our channel and like this video, we'd greatly appreciate it. And a friendly reminder that you can also find us on any of your podcast formats. We're on Spotify, iHeart, Apple, Google, everyone that you could think of. And we'd greatly appreciate you do the same thing for those podcasts. Subscribe and like our podcast. Thank you. Have a good night. Bye.